Hey peeps, it's Tripl-L and now let's talk Fairy Tail chapter 513, Flower Circle. Okay guys, my impressions for this chapter. This chapter actually puts me in a really interesting place because ultimately I don't think the chapter gave us that much information. Heck, the majority of information came at the last 5 or so pages. And that was the section where Eileen goes into her thing about what she's telling Erza, and that's signaled by the flower circle that we got in this chapter. And apparently it's a cultural thing that happens in Japan. Kids get flower circles if they do really well on their homeworks or whatever. Anyway, that's whatever. That's just the signal that we are going into the plot of the chapter. Because otherwise, the rest of the chapter, aside from those 5 pages at the end, actually, you know what? I counted. It's like about 7 pages of actual dialogue and not just trash talk. Anyway, the majority of the chapter before that was 1, the whole thing with Sabretooth, pretty much the fallout after Raki's been beaten and everyone's just talking and pretty much giving up their hopes to Fairy Tail. And you know, there's like some comedy moments. Really, if you're a fan of the characters, that particular segment of the chapter is for you. It really is there just to fill out the characterizations, and I don't have a problem with that in concept, in principle. I do have a problem with it in this particular chapter just because it was fluff for the purposes of this chapter. You know, I just kind of wish we had a little bit more meat in this chapter, because the next part right after that is just a fight sequence, and fight sequences are cool and all, but it's Erza's fight sequences. And it is cool to see her choreography. It is cool to see her flipping around and doing everything she can. But at the same time, Erza is not that impressive to watch after a certain point, because all she can do is use her weapons. And I do want to say it is interesting having Wendy there, because we all know Wendy is reducing the fatigue on Erza, letting her pull off all these acrobatic maneuvers. But especially when we have a character like Eileen, it's unfortunate because we see what Eileen can do, and I just, you know, I don't think Erza brings out the best in Eileen, and it is shown with how Eileen makes the flower circle. So, you know, when you put those 2 chunks of the chapter together, that's about 2/3 of the chapter, and it just feels like it's not enough. You know, it makes this chapter feel really short. I guess that's really what my problem is. It just makes the chapter feel short, and it really depends on the individual reader what they personally like seeing. For me, watching Erza fight is interesting, but I think this chapter just had a combination of making it drag too long and having it preceded by some extra filler. I will say, like, in terms of the highlights of the battle chapter, it was cool seeing Erza use her feet to fight. Like that was legitimately impressive. But really, I'm more interested in the story bits, and the story bits is what we got in that last third of the chapter. What with the whole revelations of Eileen, that she's Erza's mother and she is the queen of the dragons, or was the queen of the dragons at some point. Now, before that, this was actually my favorite part of the chapter. There's a line that Wendy says in particular, and it's the line where she goes, "They even smell similar." The thing about this line is that we've already gotten the logic of how this works in the Fairy Tail universe. We got the logic about 2 or 3 chapters ago with Sting. Sting went out of his way, and I think at this point Hiro Mashima specifically worded it in that particular chapter in that way to bring it up in this situation. He said that the sense between people, even if they are brothers or even if they are parent and child, aren't the same. They aren't, you know, they're never really the same. And so he even went to and made a distinction that Zeref and Natsu don't smell similar. So what's interesting here is when Wendy says that they even smell this, they smell similar. Do we have to take that in conjunction with what Sting has said before? And the reason that you can take this line in 2 ways, or interpret this in 2 ways, actually the line is whatever, the implications from the line, that's what you could really interpret. Wendy is saying that the scents are similar. Does that mean, does the word similar to you give you enough of a leeway that there's still something that's slightly different about the scent? Or when you see even that their scents are similar, is this telling you that this is something out of the ordinary, in the same way that Sting has kind of declared it before, that even parent and child do not have the same sense? It really depends on how you're going to take that line, because if it's a case where it's the full-on thing and the scents are effectively the same and it goes against the logic that Sting has presented earlier, it means that it's not just simply Erza being Eileen's daughter. It's not just simply this woman giving birth to Erza in the natural way. And now knowing that she's a dragon, or possibly related to a dragon, how does that work? And so it's a very interesting scenario. Now, if we take Wendy's line to mean similar and that there is some slight differences in the sense, and that's enough to qualify to still be correct with Sting's logic, then it means that at this point maybe the two are a natural mother and daughter. But I am going to take the fact that Mashima had Sting say that particular line those 2 chapters ago, that even parent and child do not smell the same. I'm going to take that to be the indicator that there's something else going on. And the next chapter title is called The Dragon Seed. It really could be anything going on here. We don't know how Erza was produced, and Eileen has shown very, very weird behavioral tendencies towards Erza and towards daughters or children in general. So I am very... I'm really interested in this Mystery Violin because I don't want to believe it is simply that this lady had Erza and they are a natural mother and daughter. I just don't want to believe that, but it very well could be, and there's nothing wrong with it being that. At this point, Wendy's line I think would be the best indicator. If Wendy had said that their scents are the same, that would have been a good indicator that something unnatural happened. But because the similar is there, it depends on how you take similar, what you take it to mean. So yeah, I think I'm gonna leave it there, guys, because that's really the most interesting part of the chapter. Wait, I guess I could talk more about the fact that like Eileen might be a dragon, but yeah, I don't know. I don't know what to make of that. Like, what does that mean? Like, we know that the dragons can live for a while, and we know that some of the dragons did some time jumping. But we end off with a page of what looks like an Erza standing in front of a giant dragon, and now it's like, is the metaphor that Erza, or this Eileen is this dragon that's at the last page? Are they one and the same? Or is it like, no, like Eileen's somehow the queen of the dragons, the former queen of the dragons, but she was actually a dragon? I really don't know. I don't know like how to interpret that yet. I don't know if she was raised by dragons. Holy shit, if she was raised by dragons, that means she came from the past, along with everyone else. Oh, Jesus. I hope that's not the case. That'd be weird. Anyway, I really want to see the reason for the creation of Erza, because look, what I'm really hoping in all of this is that when we find out the reason for why Erza exists, it's going to be something that justifies how Erza can keep fighting when she has all her senses taken away from her, like back in Tartaros, and how Erza had second origin from the very beginning. I want to see the crazy justification for why Erza is Erza, you know? I want to see that. And so the thing with Eileen giving us she's the former queen of the dragons, it's more of a, there's just too little for me to really go on. I'm not even gonna get excited about it because I very much imagine a troll coming and it's like something else explained and she just said it like that, and we made the wrong assumption. You know, it's happened before in Fairy Tail. Other interesting things, Eileen's full name is Belsarion. I don't know. I don't know that name, so I don't know if it's something important. Anyway, guys, let's leave it there. For this chapter, I have more issue with. This is just on a personal level. I just didn't like how much time was spent doing what I think is just unimportant things. Had it been any other chapter, I would have accepted it, but because we were getting this Eileen information in this chapter, you know, the same way that Eileen made fun of Erza by making a giant flower circle, I feel that kind of, I feel the same. I feel like she made fun of me by making that giant flower circle and taunting me and mocking me. And you know, because of that, I'm just gonna say I like the chapter. And the reason I really, the reason I like it is really just because I think that the lines from Sting 2 chapters ago are coming back here, and they can be used to like kind of figure this out. Anyway, I'm gonna leave it there. You guys let me know what you thought about the chapter. And yeah, I think that's pretty much it for me. So guys, till next time, I hope you have a great day. Oh wait, hold up. One last thing. You know, honestly, there's no way Rakid is still down. I doubt it. I heavily doubt it. It's more like the ref has we don't know how much the ref has like damaged this boy. We don't know how much things are going wrong in this boy's body. For all we know, he still has like an Aetherius form on the weight. So, you know, I don't think Rakid's down. I think Sabretooth is pretty screwed unless like they vacate that area very quickly, because Rakid, he might have some demons inside of him. But anyway, now for reals, we're done. Yeah, for sure. Till next time.